Hello everyone, and welcome to the 11th installment of the Turf Battles New Client Development Diary. Before we get started, I just wanted to wish everyone that's celebrating the new year a happy new year. We're moving into the year of the tiger. If you guys haven't been on the game recently, we did just release a patch with a bunch of things for the year of the tiger, including the mask and pet that you're seeing right here. So be sure to check that out when you get a chance. So we've had a lot of things kind of in the works since the last video diary. It's kind of been a little bit of all over the place. We've gone through a bunch of bugs that we had been kind of listing and just putting off to the side for when we had more time. So we went through a really big list of bugs, fixed up a bunch of stuff. Some of the things that you might have noticed in the last videos, for example, were that set items, for example, they didn't show the set effects, and now they do. This is the Mercial set, and they're showing the set effects as well. This is the Chronos Shield. And you'll notice with the Mercial set, of course, the first set is purple, but you're probably wondering, why is it purple? I'm not wearing any Mercial equipment. Well, I am. I just have a override for it, or an overload for it. I'm wearing the Mercial chestplate, as well as the Mercial helmet. And that's giving me that 2-set bonus. As well, some of the things we did was we added a mini-map to Pet Island that was missing on this client. We added a new mini-map for the Catastrophic Cavern. We've had a couple people ask for that to be added, so we figured we'd add that. Last weekend we did show off the cosmetic system, but there was still one piece of functionality left to be made for that, and that was the full body suits to be showing weapons. And as you can see, we have fixed that, so now that they do show weapons. Our plan is to release a variety of different costumes, especially at the start. We're going to have a bunch of new costumes just out right off the bat. Not every single costume is going to have a weapon that's displayable. Some of them are going to come already with a customized weapon for that costume. And you guys will be able to see that once we release it. As well, we've been putting in a little bit of work. I'm just going to go ahead and take this costume off just so I'm not in a bathing suit this entire video. We've gone and taken a look at the upgrading system. Up till this point, it was working, but it was buggy. Buggy in the sense that Clonium gems didn't work at all, no matter if it was on normal equipment, level 12 equipment, or Clonium equipment, which is their intended equipment. As well, normal gems were being treated as junior gems on level 13 equipment, and they were also working beyond level 12, which I think is their max stat level, at least for one upgrading equipment that is Clonium. So we went ahead and fixed that. Adding stats should also be working. I'll just demonstrate really quick. There we go. That added 2 stats. So if I go ahead and now I try to upgrade, this is a Sephiroth gem, so it's going to upgrade a random stat and upgraded strength. I can also use a Sephiroth choice. I'll upgrade the defense. And now it's level 2. I'm going to pause the video just so I can get some Clonium gems in my inventory really quick. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and try and use them on equipment that they shouldn't work. So for example, this level 12 item doesn't work, can only work on Clonium. Doesn't work. So that's exactly what we wanted to happen. I'm going to go ahead and try and add it to the the Chronos shield that I have. And of course, there's no stat on the item, so I can't add a stat. I see a magic gem right here. Now it has block rate. Sorry about that, we just ran into a slight issue. Um, it's resolved now, but as you just saw, it did get upgraded to level 2, and just again to level 3. I can use a Colonium Choice, upgrade that. Now it's level 4. Just like in the current version, you can still use Sephiroth Choice as well as normal Sephiroth gems on Colonium equipment, um, but it does get treated as a junior gem upgrade, and for that, it just broke. Um, there was actually a situation where one user had accidentally used a Sephiroth Choice gem on Colonium equipment, and then that resulted in the item breaking. Um, Based off of what happened with that ticket and that has happened in the past, I am currently considering just making it so normal gems don't work on Colonium equipment. Um, Possibly alternatively, we can make it so you can trade or convert a certain amount of normal gems into a Colonium gem, so that they still can contribute to leveling up your Colonium equipment. Um, and thinking about it now, that's actually a much better idea than allowing a gem that will break an item so easily. So we might make that change, probably for the next update. So that should be good. Okay. So one other thing I wanted to show you guys, which is actually something new that we've been doing. We haven't done this in the current version of Turf Battles, um, but basically we've gone around and we kind of looked at areas that maybe needed to be touched up on. One of the biggest ones was Frozenland. Um, I know, especially when you're in the Frozenland War, you'll notice that there are these little potholes in the map, especially around where the bosses are, that you can just fall in and you get stuck. Um, a long time ago, we added NPCs or crystals to those areas just so that if you fail, you can get unstuck. Well, we've gone ahead and just filled those holes this time around. For example, this is where one of the holes was. Um, this crystal we still haven't removed, but this is where the hole was. And currently in Turf Battles, if you fall down, you just click the crystal, and it teleports you back up right over here. I think there was a total of 3 or 4 holes inside of Frozenland, so we went ahead and fixed that. As well, we kind of want to make it more accessible for players in terms of not having to kind of zigzag like this all the way up mountains. So we're just kind of going around and adding hill areas so they can more easily get above a mountain or from one boss to another. Right now I'm in the Yeshi spawn area and I'm climbing the hill to go to the Chukaba area, which is right over here. And then there was also one more area I wanted to show you guys, but it's kind of far away, so I'm going to just pause the video really quick. Okay, unpause the video, and I added a bunch of dexterity so I can run faster. This is another area where we added a little hill. This is where La spawns. Basically, you can just walk up now instead of having to zigzag. But yeah, it's not a huge change, but it's a very important change because their map changes. So what that means is we're able to introduce new maps, fix old maps, extend old maps, that kind of stuff, which is actually a really big step for us. So I hope you guys are as excited for it as we are, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. Okay, just some other things I want to talk about while we have a second. There are some things that we've been working on that kind of aren't kind of displayable in game. Um, 2 of those I want to talk about today. The first being conversion scripts. So basically, when we upgrade the live server into this new client, we're going to have to run a bunch of scripts to update the database so it's compatible with the server. And so we've been working on various scripts that do load the current live server into this current state. I'm not sure if you guys noticed any of the previous videos, but there were some cases where I logged into a character and, for example, a Dezao was appearing on my earring slot, or I think even my earring was appearing on my weapon slot. So we did go ahead and fix that in one of the recent scripts. Um, there's a couple other scripts that are coming into play with that, just converting data that doesn't necessarily isn't compatible with this version of the server until after these scripts are run. But that's just something that you guys don't need to worry about. We're rigorously testing it and making sure that it does work properly. So when the time comes, the server will be able to be merged easily, quickly, and without fail. Another thing which we're really excited about, and I think players will be too once they're able to experience it firsthand, is that we've been working on the pathing system for monsters, and I think we have mentioned this in the past videos, but basically we're developing this out of the client and out of the server, just so it's easier to kind of debug and test and doesn't require us loading up the entire server. But basically what this means is we're going to be able to have monsters actually not walk through walls, actually not shoot arrows or magic spells through walls or hit you through walls. They're actually going to have to walk around corners to get to you. We're employing some pretty state-of-the-art pathfinding that should be on this version of the server, hopefully by the next update, or soon after that. But basically, you'll be able to go into places like Delpharoth, and be able to walk around without a monster attacking you through two walls or something like that, which is something that players have been asking for since the start of this version of Turf Battles. And it's a piece of functionality that is pretty complicated in terms of CPU usage for the server, so we're trying to make sure that it's added properly. Okay, the next feature I want to show off is the party system, but that does require me to sign on to another character, so I'll do that really quick. Okay, so I've gone ahead and brought us both to soccer field just so I can demonstrate the party system. So basically, it's kind of the same system we have, it's just on the new server, and looks a lot nicer. But you have your three options: join, invite, and kick. So I just invited Scotty. I'm going to go ahead and accept on that end. And now, this is the new user interface for the party system. So these icons show off the class of the player. You can see their level, their current HP. If I set the health on Scotty to something lower, it changes, of course. And then if I heal up with my potions, it changes. Cool. Something that also works is the inability to damage anybody that's in your party. So right now I'm trying to attack them, I'm not doing any damage. If I try to use spells, or skills, they don't work. Same with my AoEs or the new apprentice skills, they also won't work. And again, that's because I'm in a party. You'll notice that I have a little crown here. That's because I'm the party leader, so that gives me the ability to kick other players from the party as well as disband the party. Currently, we're considering changing how the party system works. Currently, you can kick players from the party only if you're the party leader. We're considering changing it so that it employs kind of the same kind of system that most other MMOs have nowadays, where it's a vote kick. So basically, if you want someone to leave or to get removed from the party for whatever reason, be that because they aren't attacking or they're doing something that they shouldn't be, then you can start a vote kick, and everyone in the party would have to agree to have that player either removed, or disagree, and then the player wouldn't be removed. But that feature isn't added yet. That might not actually get added until after this version is released. In terms of it being released, that's something that we would like to add later down the line. Okay, so just to demonstrate, I can disband the party, no longer exists, and of course I can hit Scotty again. I had really high strength there, so that's why he got one hit. Okay, something else that you might already be noticing when I opened up my stat window here, we made a couple changes to it since the last time you probably saw this. The first being that this area just got increased so that you can see the min and the max values for your AP. Right now it is going out of bounds, but that's because I have such high strength right now. It's giving me a ridiculous amount of AP. Then going down the line here, we've actually added red magic defense and blue magic defense under magic defense. This is something that's kind of been added preemptively for the mage changes that we talked about in the last update. And I'll talk about those briefly in a few minutes. I'm just going to go over the specifics tab and kind of give you guys a preview of that really quick. It now shows your experience, your pet experience, and your production experience rate. Um, my pet experience rate is set so high just because this is the test server. And then up here we have our critical rate and critical resilience. Critical resilience is just your ability to negate a critical hit being done to you. There currently isn't a stat that affects this. It's something we're going to add later on. And then something you might also be noticing is before there was a critical magical rate as well as a critical physical rate. We scrapped that idea. It's only going to be critical rates. I don't think players would have liked having to differentiate between the two depending on if you're a mage or a um, physical. And again, that's also if we decide to allow mages to crit, which based off of how they fight, if we were to do that, it would be a much lower rate than a physical class. Okay, so that's all we have to show you guys today. Like I said, there was a lot of bug fixes that went into the work we've been doing the last 2 weeks, as well as of a lot of kind of non-visual stuff that we've been doing, um, like developing those scripts and working on various tools that we use to update the game. Um, Something else we've been working on is the mage rework proposal to release for you guys, which when you're viewing this, will be on the news article. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of a general summary of what's going on and what the problems are. But basically, we've been trying to balance mages as much as we can. The main issue comes down to three different things. The first being black touch. It's close to impossible to balance both blue mages and red mages well. They both benefit from black touch. Red mages can activate black touch at will, but they can receive benefits from it if a blue mage is around. So if we increase a red mage's AP, which they do need, then we have to take into account that, oh, if they have black touch activated, they're going to do an insane amount of damage. And that prevents us from being able to properly increase their AP because of that fact. Um, we're proposing that we're going to change that so that black touch only works for blue mages, and that's why here you have your blue magic defense and red magic defense. But basically, black touch will only lower your blue magic defense here. Um, and then similarly, the red touch, which is the red mage alternative that only applies rarely from set effects, that would appear here, and that would only affect red mages. Um, Another issue, which is probably the most complained about issue so far in relation to mages, is the white mage issue. Basically, white mages are at a point, and I feel like they're always at this point when we release new content, but they're able to tank a bunch of damage based off of being able to wear max level equipment. They're able to do a decent amount of damage, or pretty high amount of damage, because again, you're able to use pretty high level equipment while at the same time benefiting from your own AP and the debuffs of others. And then they're also, in some cases, able to use things like the anti-slender stick that causes very frequent stuns to other players. And then on top of all that, they have access to all their white mage buffs that pretty much empower themselves and their teammates to a point that seems a little outrageous once you get to higher level equipment. Just to give you guys um, kind of an image of what happens when a white mage uses a defense buff or a magic defense buff, depending on if it's a defense buff or a magic defense buff, it could mean the difference from going from a 13 set with magic defense to going to like a 16 set or something around those lines. For physicals, it's if you have a 17 set, you're instantly at an 18 set just for using that buff or being within range of a white mage. So that provides some pretty intense incentives to have a white mage there, but at the same time, they are overpowered in that sense. Um, and then in addition to that, some players apparently have been increasing their pets' HP so that they have a large or a very large HP pool, making that white mage even harder to kill. So their party is just left with permanent buffs. Um, a lot of the feedback we've been receiving has been players asking for that to be removed, and by that I mean white mages. Um, we don't exactly want to do that just because it's always been part of turf battles. They've always been a constant in the game, albeit they've been an unbalanced constant in every single version. But that's something that we do want to work on. We don't want to remove them completely, but we do agree that they are in an overpowered state. Um, so what we're proposing is we remove four of the buffs, which are the defense buffs, the magic defense buffs, the move speed buff, and the attack speed buffs. We change the effect of the anti-slender stick, so you'll no longer be able to stun as a blue mage, and you also won't be able to stun at such a high rate. And then we want to change the stat requirements on red mage and blue mage equipment so that instead of just having a requirement for any general stat, it requires blue magic for blue mage equipment and red magic for red mage equipment. And what this should do is require that anybody that wants to become a white mage is going to have to settle for using an equipment set that is one or even two levels lower than the opponent they're fighting. So they're going to have a disadvantage in terms of defense, but they'll be able to provide all those buffs, except the ones that we said that we're removing. Um, and then it's up to their party to keep them safe, which is the intended kind of functionality of a white mage. You're not meant to be able to tank the world, do a bunch of damage, and support your team. What you're meant to do is support your team, and they keep you alive. And kind of the last little issue we've kind of noted with mages is just their overall, or other classes' overall magic defense. Um, it's very easy for any class to reach a really high amount of magic defense, whether it's 80%, 85%, 90%. If you're on the Triumph server, this is even easier because of TC buffs. Um, I think primarily one of the reasons for this is jewelry. Jewelry gives double the amount of magic defense in comparison to the amount of defense it gives. Um, for example, a level 1 defense ring will give 3 defense. A level 1 magic defense ring will give 6 magic defense. Now, this is in part because of Black Touch, and to give players that kind of buffer area for when there's Black Touch and a Red Mage to be there. But when we fix the above two issues, or the previously mentioned issues, that won't be so much the case, and so we will have to take a look at the magic defense being provided by jewelry and by other sources, um, and essentially reduce them as well at the same time as balancing the AP in comparison to them. Um, so yeah, we're gonna post this, and we want players to provide feedback just in terms of their opinions. Do they like the ideas? Do they not like the ideas? Do they have better ideas? Um, if you have Discord, we'll be glad to take your feedback on there. If if you can do a support ticket, that's fine, and we'll also be posting on the forums for you to provide feedback there too. Okay. Um, Sorry about that long spiel at the end with the mages. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew what was going on. Um, But yeah, that's basically it for this weekend. We'll have more stuff for you next weekend for sure, or sorry, 2 weekends from now. Um, all right, everyone have a great one.